Hello, everyone, and welcome to League Prediction Show MSI Edition. This is brought to you by Prize Picks, and I am joined right now by Cubby, Mahir, and we're not joined by Croissant. He was originally supposed to be on the show, but then he was like, "Oh, Think Cards in town. I'm going to dinner with him. Oh no, we took an hour to get our seats. Oh no, I think I'm going to be late." So then he sent me the predictions, and so Cubby and Mahir can flame him with his predictions. Either way, let's get into how the show works. So, as I mentioned, the show is sponsored by Prize Picks. We're going to be doing some predictions on the show about how we think some of these matches are going to go, but we are also going to be giving you lineups for Prize Picks if you would like to play Prize Picks. If you would like to play Prize Picks, please do so responsibly. But I am going to really quickly just check in with our guests to see how they've thought of MSI so far, and maybe what match they are most excited for in the coming week. Cubby, what have you thought of MSI, and what are you looking forward to this week as a match?
Oh man, I mean, I think the tournament's been great so far. The format's fun. I think fans have been wishing for more teams, which I think is always a sign of a great format in the first place. We got best of fives, we've got fearless, it's double elimination, and the game's been awesome so far. I know Fury and Gam are out, but they put up really respectable performances. It was fun to see those games be close, and now that we have the better teams hit the stage, I'm excited to see what happens next.
Yeah. How about you, Mahir?
Yeah, same as Cubby. I've been super entertained, specifically by Gam and obviously Furia this year's against G2. But for Gam specifically, I I'm really excited for their future considering if a couple things go differently, they're the teams that make main stage. And you can kind of see how much League means to them because there's a ton of Gam fans in the crowd. Obviously, TK Nguyen does a phenomenal job of getting everyone excited. And it's one of those teams where, like, regardless of how they perform, you can't help but, like, never actually give up hope, no matter how close or how doomed the games look.
Oh,
Yeah.
every international event's more fun with Gam there for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I also wanted to just ask both of you, what match are you most looking forward to this week?
Likewise, AL. Sorry to steal your answer me here, but I'm rooting for the NA boys to hopefully rub as well.
Funny enough, that was not my answer, and you might say I'm just trying to be different,
Ooh.
but the series I'm most excited for or most interested in is actually Genji Mkoi, I believe is they're playing. Genji, yeah. No, wait, no, sorry. Um, Genji G2, sorry, my bad, not Mkoi. And
Tomorrow's
the
match.
reason is, yeah, tomorrow's match. And the reason I say this is because I think everyone obviously has Genji super high up in expectations. Honestly, some of the discussions I'm seeing is the most highly they've talked about Genji for as far back as I can remember. They're obviously going to be in the contender talks, but I've seen a lot of excitement surrounding this roster, and I just was so underwhelmed with G2 that I'm almost praying they can step it up because I would hate to kind of see them barely promote and then just get completely like shit stomped. So that's like for me, that's kind of like a litmus test or a kind of it's a good metric of how competitive the bracket stage will be, or sorry, knockout stage will be. Because if G2 can play well, I'm expecting Fly to play well and makes the rest of the tournament a lot close. But I think there's gonna be at least one or two teams that severely underperform and leave very early.
Yeah, that's a really good point in terms of like that will perhaps set the stage a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I will echo Cubby in saying that I'm looking forward to the FlyQuest match the most for similar reasons as you, Mihir, which is just sort of like I think
Mm-hmm.
that's when we'll finally have an understanding of like how Fly compares to the rest of the teams internationally. So we'll see we'll see what ends up happening. But I'm gonna do a quick little video here where I mute our friends on Discord and then play this so that people who haven't played Prize Picks before, maybe don't know how it works, they can learn through this fancy little video I've made.
This video is brought to you by Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching your favorite esports or sports. So I'm going to show you right now how this works on the app. It's super easy to use. So maybe I like Jojo Pyun at more than 9.5 deaths over the first 3 games of his series. And maybe I believe Mickey X is going to get less than 31 assists. I'll go in and hit finalize lineup where it'll show me that if both these things end up coming true and I play an entry fee of let's say $20, I'm going to end up winning $60. Prize Picks is available in over 40 states, including California and Texas. And if you sign up, use that link below. It's a big thing that you can do to help me. You can use code Travis whenever you make your first lineup of $5 or more. Win or lose, they're going to give you $50. Now, please only choose to play Prize Picks if you can do so responsibly, but doing so and signing up does help my channel very much. And you can actually join the discussion with other TGI viewers in my Discord. We have a Prize Picks channel. If you're trying to get into it, that's a great place to start. So thanks so much to Prize Picks for sponsoring this piece of content.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prize Picks. We did just put that link over in the descriptions, I believe, on YouTube and on Twitch. I see it on Twitch. Let me check YouTube. But yep, we have it in both. So thank you so much to Prize Picks for sponsoring the show. Use code Travis. That's how it's going to go. All right. So I thought it would be fun to start off by just running down the matches that we have this week and asking both of you who you predict to win the series. Starting with Gen G and G2, I know we were just talking a little bit about that through Mahir's post, but oh, you guys are muted. You can't hear me. And as I was just saying, and now you can, what you guys could definitely hear was that I thought it would be very fun for both of you to maybe give me your predictions for each of the matches that we have going through this week. We've got 4 matches that are already out in the schedule. And so I thought maybe we'd hear from both of you. I know we just heard about Gen G and G2 from Mahir a little bit, but let's get some predictions as well. Cubby, who do you think wins Gen G G2?
Gen G 3-0.
3-0. Stop. Okay. Mahir, I know you said you think this is a litmus test. Does G2 have a chance to even take a game?
I said it was a test, and unfortunately, G2 did not study for it. I have Gen G 3-0 for that one.
Yeah. Okay. I think
What about you,
G2
Travis?
will get a cheeky win.
Okay.
Shimada was just on the show. I'll use cheeky for him, but I think there'll be some point in time where they pull off some crazy little gambit with their draft, and they'll end up getting some sort of win. But I do think that it will go 3-1 for Gen G. So moving on to Wednesday, we have AL Fly. What do you think, Mahir? Who wins AL Fly?
I do think it is AL. I think coming into this, they're probably the strongest Chinese team, and depending on what you value, could be a top 2 or even the favorite. So I think it's AL, but I just do think the nature of way 5 plays, I would be surprised, and this might sound kind of weird, I'd be surprised if they don't take at least one game,
Okay.
just based off like the way they play.
So you're thinking 3-1?
Yeah, I think 3-1. If AL underperforms, I could see 3-2, but I think 3-1, even though it's a gentleman's sweep, I do think it's a very reasonable expectation for Fly, considering they're tournament favorites.
Cubby?
I said it on the Hotline League, and I'll say it again here. I've got AL 3-2. I'm hoping it's a good series.
Yeah. I will go FlyQuest 3-2. Just because I got,
hope you're right.
we're in North America. I gotta hope that there's something that's gonna interesting that will happen. We had a caller on Hotline League who said that Inspired's the best jungler in the tournament, and while I don't think it's true, maybe it got me a little bit excited for the match. So we'll see. All right. Next up, we have Koi versus BLG on Thursday at noon Pacific. Cubby, what do you think?
BLG 3-1.
Okay.
I don't think this is the match that Koi. I don't think they match up super well outside of the jungle support duo, and I think Beishuan showed enough where they're going to clear Koi. But
Yeah.
they get a game.
All right. Mahir?
Yeah, I'm not too high on BLG in general, but I do think their play-ins was pretty solid for the most part. They still have 4 out of 5 of that God Squad. I do think that MKOI has shown enough to maybe take a game, but I'm also going to go 3-1 for this one as well. I'm just, I'm playing it safe, just 3-1 BLG.
All right. And then finally, after that match, we'll have CFO T1. I know there's been a lot of questions about T1's capabilities going into this event. Mahir, what do you think?
It's really funny because I know a lot of people who are like, whoa, CFO is so good after first stand. I know a lot of people who will always write off CFO after just the fact that they're LCP. I think CFO has some really talented players, but I do unfortunately think that I'm very confident in T1. I do think the player to really watch would be Jinjia and Doggo, who both had a phenomenal split back in the LCP. I'm going to go 3-0 T1, but I don't think it's going to be a stomp 3-0. It's going to be a type of 3-0 where it's kind of anyone's game until one team pulls ahead. So I'd say a close 3-0.
Okay. Cubby, how about you?
I got T1 3-0. I think for whatever godforsaken reason they showed up at playoffs. I know the regular season hasn't been good, but T1 are the protagonists of League of Legends, and I just think that they just show up and they're going to be a tournament contender from day one. If not, then the tournament's more interesting. But I think T1's going to prove that they can win the tournament from day one.
Yeah. All right. I will. I'll follow in with a T130. I think you're right that they have so much experience on the international stage. They'll be able to clear that up. All right, so let's get into the second half of the show where we like to make predictions using some prize picks lineups. We just played that video a second ago so people know how this works. But opening at prize picks, we'd love to take a look at the squares. And Cubby, I think we'll start with you. What
All
is
right.
the lineup that you are submitting for this week's matches?
So to go along with my thoughts on some of the series, I have Busio, more than 24 and a half assists, going up against AL.
Okay. Busio, more than 21 and a half assists.
24 and a half
Yeah, 24
for
and a
me.
half. Yes. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
correct.
And then I have Knight over 15 and a half kills.
Knight over
Sorry,
15 and a
JoJo.
half kills. Okay,
Yes.
why do you think Busio more than 24 and a half assists?
I think that the square for Busio, that is lower than where I have it, like where I'd put it for the series. Again, we had a Hotline League caller say that AL is a bloody team. That's for sure a thing. FlyQuest will play with egos too. Like they will both take fights that they shouldn't take. I think that feeds in the support assists, and I don't think that FlyQuest gets blown out of the series. So you have one win for FlyQuest, one close game either way, and I feel like that could land. You just get scared of the wipes, which could happen. And then for Knight, JoJo is my favorite little flipper on the planet, and I feel like JoJo is going to do some flipping.
Gotcha. So
Yeah,
there'll be at least one game where Knight picks up like
he's my favorite.
three
Yeah,
kills in
don't
lane
don't
or
get me wrong.
something like that. Yeah.
He's a claim child, but
Okay.
JoJo's my favorite little flipper, and 15 and a half is pretty reasonable for like where I have that series going, which again is a BLG 3-1.
Yeah. Okay. This is fun. I love international events because we have a bunch of different matches to choose from whenever we're building
Oh
out
yeah.
these lineups. So, Mihir, what do you make of Busio at more than 24 and a half assists and Knight at more than 15 and a half kills?
So I agree with all of Cubby's points so far. The Busio line is a little bit low. I think a lot of people are expecting a stomp. And at that line, or at that number, I think that it is very reasonable to expect Busio to get more. I actually had a Knight combination square with Elk, but we'll get into that when it's my turn.
Sure.
So I do have a lot of expectations for Knight. Some of the mids we've seen played, Ari obviously being a really high presence champ, and I think Knight is the best Ari in the world. So I'm gonna definitely hope to see them really prioritize that champion in the first game, maybe the second. So if Knight can especially get his hands on Ari, but also the fact that he loves Magi Soul Stealer, I definitely think that any Knight kill square for the most part is a very safe square to take.
Yeah. I will say also, I just confirmed that this does work in Vancouver. You can use prize picks in
It
Vancouver
does.
and BC, so
Yeah.
that's kind of cool. I know, obviously, we talk about things in terms of states, but also provinces. BC is apparently available to prize picks, so that's cool. All right, so you're taking it. I would ask Croissant what he thinks. I think Croissant would agree. He'd be like, yeah,
Mhm.
when you think about the even distribution of numbers across many different games and blah, 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 and then it'd be like, yeah, okay, fine. All right. Mahir, what do you got for us?
So I mentioned earlier I had a combination square with Knight. I have the Elk and Knight more than 31 kills in maps 1, 2, 3. And a couple of reasons, obviously, I mentioned the prioritization on Ari that I'm hoping to see. Both these mid laners are really good at Ari. So I think it's definitely one of the most contested picks we're going to see out of this series. But hopefully, BLG wins that side of the coin flip, so to speak. I also think that when it came to BLG's drafts, they put Elk in really good positions. For example, his MF game against, I believe it was G2, was one of the best MF setups I've seen.
He's a good
And
MF too.
yeah, and Elk was putting
Yeah.
him on in really good positions. Elk's sorry, not Elk. On's Alistar is super good. So for me, they're literally the only team in the world where I've seen where they draft MF and also enable the MF to get really high value ultimates off. So assuming they're going to continue to draft in ways that put Elk in a really good position, he's obviously going to step up big time. Huge confidence in Knight. Now I did mention some kind of hesitations about BLG, but I think most of my hesitations come from the more back end of the tournament rather than the front end.
All right. So you have Knight and Elk. What is your next square?
So my next score after that is ruler less than 21 assists in maps 1, 2, 3. When I first saw this square, I thought it was really high for an AD carry, especially with some of the champions we do see popping up. And considering I don't expect G2 to play Genji close at all, I can't imagine that ruler has several low kill, high assist games outside of maybe the one-off Ash game or just close games in general. So due to that, I'm expecting pretty consistent stomps and high kill games from Ruler. Therefore, I have Ruler less than 21 assists versus G2.
Gotcha. All right. Do you have a third square, or are you sticking with a 2?
I actually have 4 in total. There was 4 I
Oh!
Oh,
really
Let's go,
like.
let's go, let's
let's
go.
go,
Okay.
Mahir.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a bit spicy today,
Yeah, yeah.
overseas. Yeah, I'm feeling kind of crazy. So the next one I have, I went on a huge rant about taking support more than X amount of kills. But then I saw my favorite player, Carrier, his
Can't do
square
it.
more than 2.5, and I thought about it, and I'm like, they're playing CFO. What does Kaiwing like to play? Kaiwing loves engaged champions. Like, he loves his Leona, he loves his Alistar, he loves his Rel, which means that those champions will be off the board pretty early, which opens opportunities for Carrier to have
Him to get farmed later.
yeah, like he's gonna pull out a Joker pick eventually. Whether or not he's the one who ends up getting the Nico game or it's Kaiwing, I think we're going to see at least one crazy carry game. And, despite what you might think about Carrier's Elise game that he had, I think it was against KT, I do think they're going to bring that level of confidence because that is a significant reason of why T1 is able to win a lot of these games is by putting Carrier into really good positions. And fingers crossed, I want to see Carrier Pike, whether that's right off the bat or later on in the tournament. I know he's going to get at least one Pike game in, so I'm going to take the Carrier more.
I want to see him play Ashe. I think if he
I-
gets Ashe, that's the world where you can actually find bonus kills.
Yeah, Ash 2 even, and they would win pretty much any lane they play.
Okay.
And then, should I go ahead and give my last one?
Yeah, carry more than 35.5 assists. Okay, yeah, what's your last
No,
one?
So many.
it was carry kills. It was carry kills. 2.5 kills.
2.5 kills, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
2.5 kills.
And then,
I still can't believe the other square is 35.5. That's crazy.
Yeah.
yeah, that's a lot.
I was
And
going to
then
say.
my last one.
Yeah,
Oh,
go ahead. No, go for it. Last one.
No, I was gonna say my last one is just Faker less than 23 assists in maps 1, 2, 3. And the reason I say this specifically is because I don't think these games are gonna be like, especially their series against CFO, would be to the point where we're gonna see Faker getting really high assist games. I'm expecting relatively clean League of Legends. I think Owner linking up with Duran was a big part of how they won a lot of their games domestically, and I do think the bot lane will have a lot of action, but I don't think Faker will be as involved as, granted, TF is meta, but I can't imagine Faker has the really high assist games that he did have domestically.
Gotcha.
Dude, the spellbook buffs were like made for Faker, man.
They were. That's true.
Oh, it's so stupid.
Okay, so you have Knight and Elk more than 31 kills as a combo.
Mhm.
You have Ruler less than 21 assists. You have Carrier at more than 2.5 kills. And you have Faker at less than 23 assists. And are you
Mhm.
running this as a power play or flex play?
Oh, I just had this as a power play.
Nice. Okay.
Ooh.
Cubby,
I
what do you think?
I mean, I would probably flex play that. I think it's hard to hit 4 squares. Um,
Mhm.
we can also, if you want some more squares too, Travis. I didn't make just one lineup with Prize Picks.
Oh yeah, sure. Why not? But you would tail this, you're saying, but as a flex play.
I think that the Faker thing is scary for me. Same with the Carrier one. Like I'd probably be on the opposite side of those 2 squares. Outside of that, I agree with the other two.
Okay. All right. Okay, give me another Cubby, and then I'll
Yeah,
give you the one Croissant sent me.
the other lineup I have was Lebrov less than 20 assists against Genji because I think they get crapped on, and then Inspired more than 6.5 kills against AL. I do think he's gonna have to play a more supportive role, but see a world where they get like a carry game or like a Lilia game in there, and he's able to do some damage.
So
I'm
Lebrov
a little
less
bit
than
scared of
20
the combo,
assists,
yeah.
Inspired more than 6.5 kills. What do you
Yeah.
think, Mihir?
I agree with all those points. I do think I'm just gonna continue the G2 hate train. I do think I'm pretty underwhelmed with them. And then I do think the points about inspired playing a champion like Lilia are very possible just because of, I mean, he is the MVP, he's a reigning MVP. He's a big part of why they win. And I I do think it's in their best interest to kind of hit some of Tarzan's champ pool. And we've seen a lot of the most played champions we've seen so far have been like Jinzhao, Wukong has been really high priority. So I do think the inspired kills as well is a pretty solid bet.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to mention, by the way, for those that are trying to play this week, that Adam, who is our resident Prize Picks expert that hangs out in the Prize Picks channel on Discord, which you can all join, discord.gg/Travis, if you're trying to figure out if you want to play or if you have a lineup and you want to ask people about it, you can go in there. But Adam is pointing out that like the best way to see like a higher payout is if you pick a single player from 3 different games, for instance, if you're going to have 3 different squares. So
Mhm.
that's how that works. All right, I have Croissant's lineup here.
All right, we get to roast him. He's not even here to defend himself
Exactly.
here.
All right.
That's
So
true.
he took Masu. Let me pull this up. Masu kills, and he took more. So he thinks Masu's going to get more than 11 and a half kills versus AL. And then Keen, where are we?
Oh, actually, the Keen Square might be a great play.
Keen
Yeah, I assume
squares
it's Keen kills.
assists. It's a Keen assist, and that is under.
Ooh.
So were you going to say over?
No, I was thinking Keen kills versus Broken Blade might be the move because Broken Blade has not had a good tournament so far.
Yeah, that's
He's
actually a
struggled.
fair point.
Yeah.
Okay, so Keen at less than 23 assists.
Okay.
So Masu more than 11 and a half kills, Keen less than 23 assists. What do both of you think of Croissant's takes?
You go. You go, me here.
I think it's a lot of depending on how you think AL versus Fly is gonna go. I think both me and Cubby do have, or all three of us actually have a lot of faith in Fly to at least not get completely stomped. And I think because of that, you can expect what was the number? It was
Masu's
11
more
or
than 11 and a
11.5.
half.
11.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're looking at essentially 4 kills a game. And if he can play really well against a very slow and controlled team like Genji, the downside of a lot of bloody teams that a lot of people are saying like AL is they often might overplay their hand, and as a result, you might see some kind of freak team fight where Masu just picks up 3 or 4 kills because they overextended. So I think the Masu one is a little bit risky just because you never really know what you're gonna see, but I do think that it's not a totally unreasonable. And then Cubby mentioned, I think the keen number for assists is a little bit better than the one for kills is better than the one for assists, just
Potentially.
because with top lane, you never really know what they're gonna pick with how much diversity there is. Because if someone's playing Gwen, they're probably not getting a ton of assists. But if you're playing, say, Ornn, for example, unless your name is not Bwipo, you're probably not getting that many kills. So it's really champ dependent. Whereas, as Cubby mentioned, BB has struggled, and I think that that is something that Genji will look to exploit. Even if Keen isn't the carry player, they will probably give him at least one or more counter matchups because he has struggled pretty much the entire tournament so far.
Yeah, Adam in chat is saying he thinks that BB will get tossed onto tank duty. And so that's why
Mhm.
they're taking Keen under because they feel like Broken Blade's just gonna be chilling on a tank, and then that won't end up happening. So we'll
For
see.
sure, he's gonna tank up at least once.
Mhm.
What do you think, Hubby?
Um, I think I'd be against this one from Croissant.
Okay.
Again, I still think that the kills for Keen, like Keen is an insanely good player. And BB has been struggling. So, like we've seen BB get solo killed by other people. Um, I I hope that BB steps it up because I have a lot of respect for him and some of the performances that he's given in last tournaments, but it doesn't feel like he's confident enough to play the carries that he used to here. Like this guy was
Mhm.
playing the Yasuo's top and looking really good, and that's just not where he's at right now.
Mhm.
Like this team struggles if it's like, oh god, we just gotta put him on a tank and go from there. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think a lot of it, unironically, is they changed the two most important positions in competitive, jungle and support. And while I do think LeBron has had a really underwhelming split, and underwhelming tournament, and I do think Skumon at times seems lost, but it really feels like the G2 of old. I'm talking 2024 specifically, but even 2023, they played as a unit really, really well. And when I look at Skumon and LeBron, they're obviously talented players, some of the best in their position out of Europe, but it kind of never feels like all five players are on the same page.
They need
And
Mickey, man.
yeah, and
Yeah.
the one role that will be sticking out like a sore thumb when people are on different pages is top lane because you're on an island. So it definitely sucks because I do love like when BB's playing his best, he is so entertaining to watch on champions. Like you mentioned the Yasuo. I remember his
Mhm.
Cassiopeia game where he
Yeah.
was the only reason
It was a great
G2 won
read.
that
It
game.
was a great
So
read
it's
in that
like
game. Yeah.
yeah, so it's really sad to see, but I do think that G2 has a lot of things they need to figure out. Hopefully they've done it. If not, they'll be on the next flight back to Berlin, but hey, that means a longer off season.
True. Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Croissant, for being absent, but also still sending us something. Cubby and Mahir, hopefully we will see how your lineups go. It seems like Adam in the chat really liked them and said that they felt like you were really cooking. So we'll see how things go. I think we'll probably try to do another one of these on Sunday, because that's the day between stages. So we'll see how things go. We might be able to do one on, I don't know. Thursday night might be tough. It'd be fun to do one before the next set of matches, though. So either way,
I
we'll be
guess
back with another one of these. Yeah, what's up, Cubby?
I'm trying to look at like the games that I picked. If I mostly went, I think I had one BLG square for night, but the rest of my squares were at least the first 2 days. So we might be able to
Yeah.
do one after the first 2 days as well.
Yeah, I think it's fun to do because right now we've got the full lineup, so everybody can make,
Yeah,
schedules
it is
for
fun.
this stuff. And then I think if I just don't know because Thursday's going to end late and then Friday will start early, so I don't know if we'll be able to sneak one in between then.
Good,
But maybe
good
depending on
point,
how the
Colin.
matches go.
Good point.
Cool. All right. Well, that is the show, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and we'll be back for another one of these later on in the week. So stay tuned.